Oh, I was gonna do the thing from Die Hard, but never mind, okay. Hey everybody, hey Aliens fans specifically. We've done a lot of Alien content. We know you exist. You're always constantly asking us to give you more Alien content, so here's a little bit.
And Predator.
And Predator. And Hellboy. What? So it's almost towards the end of the year, and Kyle, actually, my partner in crime in this stuff, said, hey, I heard that Aliens and Predator comics are getting reprinted in new formats this year. And I said, that's true. And he said, I think our audience might like to know about that. I said, okay, I know everything about it, so let's talk about it. So that's true. So if you're, like I said, if you're brand new to the channel, go check out our other content. We've done pretty much everything there is to do on Alien content as far as comic books are concerned. And if you've already been following us, you know that that's true. So new books, new reprintings, new formats, new reissues. Dark Horse has done, I just so happen to have them here, they're calling them Essential Comics. So we'll start with Aliens. This is Aliens, the Essential Comics, Volume 1. You see it okay? Nice and thick. All right, so it's not like these have never been printed before. Dark Horse has had the license for Aliens forever, and so the thing that has been in print probably the longest, most recently, is what they called they called them omnibuses. So they had the Aliens omnibuses, they had Predator omnibuses. They did it actually across their whole line. They had Terminator omnibuses, Indiana Jones omnibuses, anything where they felt like they had enough comics to fill up a thick little trade, they did it. Those were cool, but the big problem with those is that they were small. They were close to the size of like a manga, a little bit bigger than that, but this is full size. This is full size. It's not oversized. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's full size. So like in other words, this is the same size as a standard comic book that you would find on the stands. It's the same size as the actual comic book that's being reprinted would have been when it came out, as opposed to the omnibuses, which I'm going to show you a clip of from one of our other videos right now. All right, so now I'm talking over it because I remember it in my head, and it's a bunch of stack of books, and there's a whole bunch of them, and we're flopping our hands all over the place. Those are omnibuses, and they were $25 cover price, and now back to me. So they were completely comprehensive. They published everything, every comic. So when people say, are the Aliens comics good, I would usually say half of them are. Well, what omnibus should I get? Well, the best one, I think that the best ones are all in Volume 3 or Volume 4. I can't remember now. But there's a lot of them that sometimes there's one good story in them and the rest of them will be shit. Like they weren't all good stories. So what's interesting about this is in addition to it being a bigger size, which is nice, it makes the artwork easier to see. It's gonna be interesting to see if it's comprehensive. I don't know that yet. What I mean by that is, so this Volume 1 that they just printed, this is the same exact content as in the first Aliens Omnibus. So it's the initial 3 miniseries that were a sequel to James Cameron's 1986 film. So this was before Alien 3 came out. This is before movie studios really cared what comic book companies did with their licenses. They didn't give a shit back then. They had a lot more freedom. So what Dark Horse did was they just made a straight sequel to Aliens with Ripley and Hicks and Newt. There were 3 miniseries that comprised sort of a trilogy with those characters. Everything after that, and they kept making Aliens comics for years. I feel like I'm rehashing I should just say, go watch our Aliens comic books retrospective. All the comic books after that were more anthology style. You could jump into any of them. They were completely self-contained stories that didn't have any of the main characters from the movies. And that's because Alien 3 came out and it killed off Hicks and Newt. And so back then, now it seems silly to be something that anybody would care about, but back then, they thought it was important that when they reissued, they all had different names. It was like Earth War. I don't know if I can remember anymore because they've changed the names on them so many times. But the ones that starred Ripley, Hicks, and Newt, they went back and when those got reprinted, they changed their names and pretended like they were different characters. So it wasn't Hicks, it was Wilkes, and it wasn't Newt, it was Billy. and Ripley was still Ripley, but
no Duncan Billy.
No Billy Dunks. Hey Ben. Hey Ben, did you watch Class of 1988 yet? Is it 1988? Movie's fucking baller, and it takes place in Washington. I told you, you said you would use it for movie night. I hope you do. Okay, so back to the comics. Anyways, anyway, it was weird. So it's fucking weird because you're reading it and it's like it's Ripley, but oh, she's an android. It doesn't make any sense. So what's cool about this too is that if you're reading it for the first time, you don't have to do that mental thing where you're just actually readjusting to who the real characters actually are. They went back and they did go back and rename the characters who they were supposed to be. They're not pretending that this is not a sequel anymore to the movie. It is. And so if you ever wanted to see the aliens infest Earth, that's what it's all about. It's really cool. So, but if you do have the first Aliens Omnibus at home, this is the same content. With the exception, names are different, it's bigger. Also, love the paper stock. This is the kind of stuff I guess only nerds like me care about. The paper stock in the Omnibus is gloss. Is that something you think will show up on camera?
I just want to feel it.
Is gloss, and I don't really like gloss. I like the feel of paper. That's what it is, and that's the way it was originally published, so I think that that's the way the art should look. That's the way it looked like when it was published.
It smells like paper, too.
It smells like paper, too. It's a really nice smell. Now, let me get back to the thing where I was talking about comprehensiveness, because that's a word. In the Aliens Omnibuses, that's everything. You're going to get every Alien comic book ever published for the most part, all the bad ones. I'm really curious about this because it says the Essential Comics Volume 1. So I'm really curious if the Essential Comic Books Volume 2, because based on the trade dress, it's making it sound like all the best Alien stories. So I wonder if it's going to be curated. I don't know, and there's no information to tell me either way, but Volume 2 might be kind of like our videos. It might be like, well, these are the ones that were really good. In which case there will be cooler ones for me to sell because I can say like, yeah, this is $25 and half of it is shit, but the other half is really good. This one, that now hopefully I can just be able to say like, yeah, everything in here is baller, you're gonna love it. I think that's all I have to say about that. So
Black and white?
Do you want me to start talking about that now? Because that has to do with the big book.
We'll get to that last.
Okay. So anyway, it's a handsome trade. I really like it. It feels pretty sturdy, and it's a good price. Is it $25? $24.99? That's a good price for that size. Because before
$34 in Canada.
Because that was the same content in the Omnibus, but it was smaller. It was a chintzier package. This is a nicer book, and for a good price. So the other big, obviously the other big Fox property that Dark Horse has that they publish lots of comics was,
which had a movie that came out and didn't do too well either.
It's funny because like people at work, they ask me what do you think they're gonna do with Predator and Alien? I'm like, wait for the Predator to come out, and if it does really well, then they're gonna do AVP again. And if it sucks, I have no idea. There's gonna be a Predator TV show on Disney streaming, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, it's a Predator Comics. This is pretty much the same deal as the Aliens one.
Louis C.K.
Oh, Predator Comics. Oh, sad. Okay. Go watch our Best Predator Comics video, and that'll make more sense. Ditto for this one, everything I said for Aliens. This is the same content as the first Predator Omnibus. So, like the Aliens ones, these acted as a sequel to the movie. And so it was Dutch's brother. Dutch's brother gets involved, and he's a cop. He's a fucking no-nonsense New York cop. Anyway, so it's essentially the same thing. It's the same thing. The paper stock is...
Is that why it's named Essential?
Yeah, but ditto for that. I'm curious if Essential Volume 2 will have stories that are only by maybe artists and writers that people know now, that are more prolific, or the ones that are more... generally received positively, the stories that people like more than the other ones, and fuck all the other ones. So I don't know, we'll see. But again, if you're interested in reading the Predator comics, this is a great place to start. It is in fact the actual place to start, but it's a good collection. This is also $25. I feel like I've answered everything that I had to say about that Predator book. I pretty much already said about the Aliens. It's the same deal. I hope we get an Aliens versus Predator Essential Comics collection like this that collects the first few Machiko Noguchi AVP stories. Again, if you're just visiting the channel, we did a review on the original Aliens vs. Predator series. I'm pretty proud of that. I think it's pretty good. It's totally a worthwhile book to read. I guess now I'm going to talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll save that for last. So, look at this one. Let me see that one. The other, yeah. Look at, bigger. Look, ooh, big. All right, so this one is mine. This is from my own collection. The other stuff's on loan, but this is from my personal collection, and this is why I want to bring this up. So this is also something that you can get if you're interested in reading the Alien series that I was just talking about, the stuff that was originally published as a sequel to James Cameron's Aliens film. Now, I'm going to open it right now. You might be saying to yourself, whoa, you're some big Aliens fan and you got this big fancy book and you didn't even open it. Other people I know have bought this. I've seen the inside of it. I've seen everything there is to see. I've read this series tons of times. I'm sure the next time that I feel like I want to sit down and read it from beginning to end, I'm going to do it with this book. But I want to open it now so I can show you what makes this one special. So this series was originally printed in black and white. Does that show up at all? I don't know. Okay. You can tell there's no color. So this is the way that it was originally meant to be read. And I don't remember what it's called, but this is actually a specific kind of black and white art. It's not just pencils on paper and ink. But I suck. I don't remember specifically what that process is called. But the only way that you would notice that they use that process is if you looked at it this way, like in this format. The color will distort the stuff that made this decision to do it this way special. But it is the same content as in the new reprinted trade. This is more expensive. This is a $40 book. It might be out of print, but I don't think that they're outrageously expensive. This has some extras. It has a really cool introduction by Mark Verheiden, who wrote these series, and it's got some bonus content in the back, and I just think it's a really cool book. So if you wanted all the content that was in initially in the Aliens Omnibus Volume 1, and is also in what I just showed you a few minutes ago, the Aliens Essential Comics Volume 1, but you want it in the most fancy format, biggest art, and also like the closest to the way that it was originally published, you want to get these 30th anniversary editions. That came out on one of the Alien days in the last couple of years, I don't remember which, but that is only the first miniseries, but they did print the second series, which was the second and third series, excuse me, in hardcover form in the same kind of format. The second series was drawn by Dan Beauvais, beautiful airbrush artwork, and the third series was drawn by Sam Keith, and your mileage might vary, and whether you like it or not. I personally am a big Sam Keith fan. Some people hate it. But so if you want a nicer version, widescreen, Blu-ray 1080p version of the book, you want to get the 30th anniversary collections, but the Essential Comics are no slouch. That's about as specific as I could possibly get on that stuff. So here's a little like bonus kind of thing, just since we were talking about reprints of content that we've already talked about on our channel. I just decided I also wanted to talk about Hellboy, since we've also recently done content on Hellboy, and since there's a new movie coming out, Dark Horse and Mike Mignola have also gone out of their way to make sure that these get reprinted in a different format. Now this one I'm more excited about. Hellboy is huge. There's a lot of it, and it's daunting for readers. And when you see most of the trades before, these little thin trades like what you'd expect, that have like, 4, 5, 6 at the most issues in them, and you look at them on the shelf, and it's like 16 volumes, and you're like, whoa! It's a lot easier for somebody to go to the shelf and see 4 volumes and go, okay, I can do that. Even though it's the same amount of content, it's being truncated, so it's not as intimidating. Also, when you have that many volumes, you can start losing track of, wait, where did I leave off? When did I stop reading? What comes after what? You know, even though there's numbers on them, but, you know, whatever, that's a whole other story. So this makes it real easy. If you've ever been interested in getting into Hellboy, these books are the cheapest, most accessible way to do it. Before, I think those individual small trades we were talking about were like $17.99 each. So you're paying like, you know, $20 a pop for like each little storyline. It'll add up. This one, for example, has the first 2 major story arcs, and in addition to a shorter story that he did in between, and another short story he did in between, actually. This is $25. So for a little bit more than the price of that first trade, you're getting basically double the content, and that's awesome. So you're saving money. What's also really fascinating about these is Mignola decided that he wanted to reprint all this stuff in chronological order. Okay, what does that mean? Originally, this stuff was all published in publication order. That means that the volume numbers and where it fit within the, you know, the volume numbers and stuff was dependent on what it came out before or after, not where it actually happened in the timeline of Hellboy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really interesting because the way I'm used to reading Hellboy, that I've been reading for years, has been trade paperbacks and stuff. And I'm used to, okay, here's a story that like kind of pushes the story forward. Oh, here's a story that goes back to his past. Oh, okay, now we're pushing the story forward again. Oh, now we're going to this thing that he did in the 70s. But he wants the people that just want to read the main Hellboy stuff, which started in like the early 90s, in Hellboy's life. So like Hellboy was born like in World War II. His like real big storyline that he's a part of doesn't actually start until like 1993 or something like that. So that's where this starts, a Seed of Destruction. And so in this way, you can read volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Volume 4 being the Hellboy in Hell, which is sort of the end of his story. That I did a big video about, you can watch. Yeah, it's long, it's good. You can just barrel through just the main stuff, if you want. And then he took all of his short stories, which there's a lot of, and he put those in separate, what is he calling these? He's calling these omnibuses. He put those in separate omnibuses, 2 volumes worth of short stories. So if you want to read all the Hellboy stuff and read in such a way that, you know, when people talk about like the Star Wars viewing order, ugh. But like some people are like, oh God, you want to start here, you watch this, then you watch this thing, then you watch these, because that's, once you start thinking about actually curating the content that happened when things are like flashing backward and forward, this is the creator of all this stuff looked at all the shit he did and he went, I think that the best way to actually read Hellboy is this way. Where you're getting this information here, and now you're getting this information, and pacing-wise, you're getting this little story before you get this big story and stuff like that. That's really cool. I am actually the next time I read like all of Hellboy, I'm not going to read these because I have the fancy library editions at home, but I will read them in the order that he has come up with for these, because I'm fascinated by what he thinks is a good reading order for his shit. So yeah, so you're gonna have volume 1, 2, and 3, and then volume 4 is Hellboy in Hell, and then you have all the short stories that he did in volumes 1 and 2. I don't have a good reading order for you. There's some stuff that's in the short stories that is cool and does give you like insight into some stuff in the big story. I think just flipping through it, it seems like he's done a pretty good job. There was stuff I was impressed with. Hellboy in Hell, the very, very end of it, which I talk about in my video, the ending of it is pretty abstract, and really the only way to get your mind around it is to read this really, really short story that he did that was released in a completely separate publication that wasn't even Hellboy. What's really cool is that like now I go and I look at the Hellboy in Hell omnibus that came out this year, and I flip and I went, awesome, he took that story, he put it in there. So now you have all the context you could ever want or need in these books to read. As you're reading it, you don't have to like, oh wait, did I miss something? Do I need to go get this thing? It's curated very well. I think that's about all I could say about that. And they're affordable, which I already said. So if you ever wanted to start reading Alien stuff and Predator stuff, there's really handsome collections out right now that you can go check out, especially if you want to read Hellboy, because it's all out, all of it. And the entire Hellboy universe that has been created over the last however many years that's living on in the BPRD title, that's well over 100 issues at this point, is ending. Like, really soon. Like, there's only a couple of issues left, and I've been reading them as they come out, and I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do. I have no fucking idea. He's just gonna it's gonna end it all soon, and I have no idea what's gonna happen. So if that sounds exciting to you, right now is a really good time. It's easy to catch up, even though there's a lot to catch up on, but this makes it a lot easier. All right, that talked longer than I should have or needed to or wanted to. I think that's probably enough. See you in the next thing.